in our different holes and basements and garages. And
but our hearts are all here.
That's right.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Made a tear come to my eye right there.
You're welcome. Brush that away. Your camera's still on low resolution. No one can tell.
There's a reason for that, Chris.
It's hidden by my Well, everybody, welcome to the First Focal Plane Podcast, episode 28. We're like that rash down there you got from your road trip to Regina in 2001. We keep coming back. Remember that, Sean?
Remember that? I live with that every day. Why would you bring that up?
Easy to remember when it's an ongoing issue.
Yeah, never left.
I don't think we're the chlamydia capital of Canada still. We used to be, but
you're kidding.
No, we were. Are we? Are we? I don't know.
Goodness. Yeah, no, there's a stat I don't keep.
This may surprise you, but I'm not actually an expert on chlamydia statistics, so I have no idea.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, we're once again proudly brought to you by EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, Canada's premier precision builder of lightweight hunting rifles, starter packages, and extreme long-range King of 2 Miles competitors. EM Precision has the right stuff to get you up and running. And you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
They have the new Curtis Scout.
They do.
They're taking orders of them anyway.
That's
it's
right.
not even on Curtis's website yet. So
and Left Hand Valors, I believe, just came out due to ship in the middle of. Well, you know what? Listen, there's some wrong side shooters out there too. That they're not bad people. Not all around bad people. Anyways, they're a little bit strange.
Well, we don't say that to their face.
Wow. Not often.
Not often. Occasionally.
Our buddy Jeff Blackbeard, he hears about it. That's for
That's right.
Sure.
That's
right. Scott Churchill. Right. He's another one.
Just start calling everybody out. Let's name them and list them. And I think we should tattoo Lefty on their forearms.
They've been tattooed since birth. Just
every time you throw something at them, they reveal themselves.
That's right.
They just were born with an extra chromosome or whatever it is. That's okay.
Whatever. There's no real medical explanation for it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Hey, Chris, we like coffee.
Do you like coffee? Well, man, I'll tell you what, the First Focal Plane podcast is brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, who bring you exclusive award-winning specialty coffees to the precision shooting community. Boasting specialty coffee cupping scores of 85.5 or higher, Bolt Action Coffee roasts will get your morning started right and keep you on target all day long. All day.
All day.
Choose between Scopes Up, Overwatch, or Suppressed. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at boltactioncoffee.com. I got a question for you guys.
Just one. Yeah.
Do you even know what coffee cupping scores are? Do you know what they score?
I don't, but let me tell you with my experience, Overwatch coffee, I literally drank it today, Bolt Action Coffee. And it destroys everything I've had. And I've had Black Rifle, Arrowhead, destroyed. Like it's so good. And yeah, people scoff, oh, it's $19 for a pound. Well, okay.
Well, it's got 85.5 cupping scores.
That's right.
Yeah.
It tastes better. And actually you get more coffee because it's a true pound comparative to other brands who give you less than a pound. I can't remember exactly what it is. If they're listening, they can put on there, but it's great stuff, man. And if you use code First Focal Plane, all caps, you get 10% off. So you save $1.90.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Well, let me tell you real quick. So coffee cupping is based on a category of like 10 different things. It includes like aroma, acidity, aftertaste, balance, body, blah, 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 all the hobby schnobby shit. What's important is that cupping scores of 85.5 put them in the second highest category that you can get, period, in terms of cupping scores.
Wow.
So there you go.
There you go. And they're Canadian veteran-based organization. So,
and that right there is enough.
That's right.
It is for me.
Hey, we're also brought to you by Callsign 66, a veterans-based organization founded to facilitate multi-generational passage of information, ballistic applications R&D, and shooter development, whose collective function is morally motivated and experience-based. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Anyway,
that was erotic. I like that.
That's right. Hey, I was going to text Miles today. I had the great idea of him offering theory-based classes via Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Facebook or FaceTime.
That's not an idea. It's not
theory-based. It's and charge like half of what you would, but still keep that going and spend a couple hours a night or whatever, and you're good to go.
Can we Zoom like dry fire practice?
You could. You could.
Everybody's shooting one whole group.
That's right. I put 5 rounds in a dime. Look.
That's right.
Can I mention something before we go too much further?
Oh, all right.
Rooster, take a look at that microphone stand, that boom that Sean's
I know.
got. Is that just the tits right there or what?
I think that's that's
professional podcaster
absolutely.
Is what that is called.
You would think by looking at this that I'm sponsored by Blue microphones. This is a Blue Yeti Nano and a Blue whatever tube pod, whatever my thing it is. But I am not. I paid full retail for this. I got this used, but still, it's the best equipment out there. Anyway,
I know I got to get something hung above my head. This kind of.
We all.
You want some mistletoe, or it's too late for that?
Yeah, too late for that. Sorry.
Well, let's get into who the hell we are. I am Sean. I am an ag equipment specialist, father of a beautiful child, and perpetual poor. Kurt.
I'm Kurt. I don't know. I'm just the boring long range guy. Long range precision.
Take out the word boring, and you're correct.
Aw, shucks. You're going to make me blush on
Making you cry again.
Yeah, it's that time of the month again.
Woo. And if you want to do load development, send it to P.O. Box 666 at... Yeah. Kurt will bill you by the hour.
It seems I am perpetually in load development, whether it's for myself, you, Yenzi, whoever.
John, now? John's going to
that's right. John, too. Holy smokes. That's all right. It gives me an excuse to get to the range.
So you can now introduce yourself as load developer extraordinaire.
Oh, yeah. We got to jazz that up a little bit.
But in a non-pornographic way.
No. You have to simplify that to the load. Yeah.
The load. Wait, so he's got 2 nicknames now?
Yeah. Johnny Load.
Well, that went off the rails faster than I expected it.
Anyway, Chris, who the hell are you?
Hey, my name is Chris. I am a gun lover and punchy kicker.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome.
Next. I decided to use descriptive imagery to say who I was this week.
Can I call you Cobra Kai from now on?
Hey, you know what? Only pussies have titles.
I love that. That's awesome.
You can't say that anymore, can you?
That's well.
You sure you can. Johnny Lawrence is he brought it back, man. Like if anybody's watching Cobra Kai, it was not socially acceptable to use the P word. Cobra Kai brought that back because you know what? We watched a couple episodes of season 3 last night. My wife and I don't talk about my wife on air, but she's a social worker. Okay. That should tell you all you need to know about the words that are socially acceptable to use in my home. And she was laughing at Johnny Lawrence, telling people not to be pussies. So he brought it back. It is now.
I might have to watch then.
Oh, you haven't watched Cobra Kai?
Okay, we'll get into that after the fact. we are not a mixed martial arts or karate based podcast.
Are we an 80s childhood podcast?
You guys are. I am not.
I decided to skip the 80s.
That's right.
Though I was in my teens.
Well, you still could have watched it. It was 1984.
Okay, moving on. We are joined by a very special guest who arguably has a better beard than Mr. Rooster himself, Mr. Gilbert White. Gil, how's it going, man?
It's good. Good, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Good.
A little gassy, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
That fries
You know,
and
Just don't,
burger you scarf down before the show. That's why.
just don't
We're not
sweep the
sponsored
leg.
by
Okay?
So who the hell are you? Gil?
Yeah, well, I'm Gil White, and I happen to be the recreational firearm community chairman. And I represent Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation on that organization. So we're an organization made up of several different groups. IPSC being one of them. Canadian Police Pistol Combat folks are at the table. The NFA are there, along with the CCFR, which is kind of I think a pretty good leap to get those two groups together. But they're both at the table. We have SAFE, the Saskatchewan Association of Firearm Education, SARM, the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities. We have some independent people sitting on the board, as well as retailers, and of course, Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. So we're not typically the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. I represent the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation on this board, and basically I'm the chairman of it. So
Nice. Well,
so, yeah, so there's that. Pardon me?
I was going to say, let's dive into that a little more. So how did this board or this committee come together?
Well, you know, it's a good thing. It's kind of funny you should ask that, because I did some research today and I found a document. I'm just going to read off it a little bit, if you guys don't mind. It was a resolution passed by the Saskatchewan Fish and Game League in 1964. And I'll just read just a couple of little, it's quite a long document. Of course, I won't read the whole thing. Just a couple of things off of this thing. It says an upsurge in prejudice towards firearms is gaining velocity in the United States since the assassination of President Kennedy. Okay. The anti-gun cranks. I haven't heard that word for a long time.
That's a word that needs to go back into common usage.
Yeah, absolutely. Are seizing the chance to claim emphatically that guns must be subject to strict regulation and registration, permission to acquire and possess. This is 1964, guys.
Wow.
It is expected too that some of the resentment to the firearms will, with suggested solutions, will spill over into Canada as well. And then if I just jump down to the bottom of this document, it says it was moved and passed by two individuals that the league, and of course this, remember now, this is Saskatchewan Fish and Game League. That used to be the name of Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation back in 1964. So the league endorses action of the Canadian Wildlife Federation in opposing additional firearm restrictions. So we've been in this game since 1964, basically, and to give us a little bit more of a stage, I guess, where we could speak what we wanted to speak and not really hurt the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. We started a separate group called the Recreational Firearm Community, Sask. So, and we do have a Facebook page. That's a great place to get to know us. So yeah, so it's been around for a while.
Let everybody know what the name is on Facebook.
It's the Regina. Sorry, it's the Recreational Firearm Community, Sask.
Interesting.
Yeah. And basically on there, I'm pretty much the person that posts everything on there. So I try and keep the people that have joined the page informed of, the latest and greatest things that's happening with firearms industry and what's happening to us. Read the government laws and stuff like that. So
interesting. So what is it what's your mandate? What is it that you guys do?
Well, basically, we're trying to represent Saskatchewan firearms owners, whether they be hunters or sport shooters or long-range target shooters, whatever. We try and represent their interest, and we believe that strongly that there's this is a culture. I mean, this is our heritage, and it's being infringed on right now. So we're opposed to several things. I've written several letters over the years to Bill Blair. Not over the years, about a year and a half, because I've only been in the chair for a year and a half. But to Bill Blair, to Prime Minister Trudeau, written to Mo, our Premier here. We've been involved with the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. and developing a brief that was presented at the hearings with the senators concerning Bill C-71. So it's quite an extensive brief. So we were part of helping develop that and, get some input into it. We have 13 points, and, if we have some time tonight, I can list off what they are that we feel are important to Saskatchewan people, and that will help probably help get buy-in to some common sense rules, I guess, concerning firearms, as opposed to just knee-jerk reactions, like Trudeau did, with this C-71 thing. Like you said earlier, never miss a catastrophe, or take advantage of take advantage of a mass murder.
Never waste a crisis.
Push forward the agenda. That's the exact words. Yes. Yeah, never waste a crisis. So we're trying to go up with that. We don't meet a whole lot. We've met a couple times. Most of our discussions happen through sending emails or messages back and forth, especially with pandemic going on. None of us have really been in a position where we should be meeting as a group. So you're definitely involved with other firearms groups like the CCFR. They joined, actually, CCFR joined a partnership with the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation at our last year's convention in February. And it's been a good relationship since then. So we have a great deal of respect for both organizations. It goes both ways, and it's a working relationship. Not only this group, the recreational firearm community, but also quite a few actually, Saskatchewan Wildlife branches. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with how it works. The Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation is a provincial body, and in that provincial body, I think it's 132 branches throughout the province. So, for instance, Regina is a branch of Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. Okay, Saskatoon, the Bridge City Club is a branch of Regina Wildlife Federation.
100 and how many branches?
I think 132. There's over 32.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's over 100, or what is it, 100 and I can't remember exact number now, but it's well over 100,000 members so in the federation.
But they're everywhere. There's Lone Butte. There's all these smaller branches plus the larger centers as well that help make up the whole the Sask Wildlife Federation.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a big no, actually no, I think it's not 100. It's about 32,000 members, I think, something like that, provincially. So we're a strong voice when it comes to politics. Of course, we focus a lot on wildlife and wildlife management and protecting habitat lands and stuff like that. That's a huge part of the federation. But in that, we also believe that wise herd management actually helps the population grow.
Absolutely.
Most of you folks know, if you're a hunter or a trapper or whatever, you'll know if a certain species gets overpopulated, let's say like humans, some sort of a disease sets in, takes care of it, if we allow it to happen, right?
Theoretically.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now, Bill.
He means quit reproducing, Sean.
So
I can't help it, okay? Anyway.
So anyway, but the point I'm getting to is of these branches, there are several that donated thousands and thousands of dollars to the legal fund for the CCFR legal fund. I know our branch in Regina here, we donated $10,000. Fish and Game Federation in Regina, which is not a wildlife federation member, but they're a separate or wildlife club as well, and they have their own shooting range and stuff. They also donated $10,000. There's
actually, if I can correct you, Gil, they did one for $10,000 and one for $5,000.
Okay, I didn't know about the second one.
But still, not trying to one up you.
No.
but still, it's
all good.
Yeah. And there's various other organizations that aren't affiliated with the Sask Wildlife Federation that have donated within Saskatchewan to the cause as well. So there's a
Right.
ton of support for their their legal action, right?
Yeah, I think the last time I spoke with Tracy, and this was quite some time ago, there was around $60,000 came from Saskatchewan to the fund. So,
Wow.
and I think it's more than that. I actually do, because I know the recreational firearm community. We donated 5,000. We don't have a big budget. We don't really generate funds except by way of donation. And we pretty much spent most of the money that we had on the last election when we had a billboard made up that we put on Highway 1 in Ralph Goodale's riding that kind of pointed out a few things along with the gun issues as well. And
Good.
I don't know how to
I
help, but
believe I saw that billboard.
Here, former vice president of the Drana Fish and Game League, John Rogers, is watching. He says 10,000, 10,000, and 5,000. Sean, get it right.
That's awesome. That's
Anyway,
awesome. Yeah.
So now back to the billboard. Can you tell us more about the billboard? Because I like to think that's the reason that Mr. Goodale had got punted from his team. Anyway.
Well, we just like, billboards are funny. You can't put a whole lot of things on them because people are driving by them at 100 kilometers an hour, so there's not a whole lot of time to read or see anything. So we just picked a few things like Omar Kadar and the payout to him. And we pictured Goodale with Trudeau with holding bags of money, right? We mentioned the firearm legislations. I forget, there's 4 or 5 different things we had on that billboard that you could possibly see them all when you drove by. And the ironic thing about it is that we don't have third-party status, of course. So even though the recreational firearm community paid for the construction of the billboard, and one of our board members allowed it to be put on his property, it stayed there for the duration of the election with the sponsorship of the CCFR. So actually, CCFR's logo sponsored the billboard. When it came to pennies and we actually footed the bill for that. So that took care of pretty much our budget, and then we went on a little bit of a if you can give us a donation, and we raised about $8,000, of which we gave now 5,000 of that to the CCFR defense fund. So now we're looking at here, listening to our illustrious leader. I won't call him that.
The shiny pony, the Captain Sock Puppet.
Sparkly socks. Listening to him, and I have no doubt that he's looking pretty good right now as far as the polls are going. That he'll probably call an election within next year. And so now,
it's interesting that you say that, Gil. I just got an email from my local Conservative MP today saying that he just registered to be our candidate again in the next election. So it appears as though the Conservative Party of Canada agrees with you that there's probably going to be an election called sometime soon. Yeah.
And I was actually out hunting this fall with Andrew Scheer. And he's of the same opinion as well. So there's something coming down the pipe. And if you look down east, his popularity is way up there because he's dishing out money left, right, and center, and people don't realize that that's your money that he's dishing out, and for every dollar
it's going to be
cost you
all our money.
Well,
these young people, the wealth distribution and everything, it just isn't going to matter because it's going to be all our money.
And it's not going to be. It's not going to be everyone on the call. Sorry, guys. It's not going to be everyone talking on the call that's going to have to pay for it. It's going to be my son, Kurt's kids, and Chris's kids, and Gil, your grandkids that are going to have to pay for it, right?
They won't be able to pay for it. Yeah.
What did you say, Chris?
Me when I moved to Iceland. Just to get away from that cocksucker.
There we go. It took 24 minutes and Kurt said cocksucker.
And 15 seconds.
I knew there'd be a point sometime.
Okay, so Gil, I kind of want to throw a curveball at you here. So with all these groups coming together, you've brought together a couple of groups. I'm going to name them: the CCFR and the NFA, who have historically been at odds with each other. How did you get those groups to work together?
Well, basically, explained to them who we are and what we represented, and NFA was at the table before my tenure there, and we invited CCFR to come along, and John, actually you came, and so did Tracy, and you know, I mean, I think those meetings went fairly well. Now the NFA, their representative has not who the new one is, so
you're turning into a robot, Gil. Say that again.
The NFA, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. Keep going.
Okay, the NFA's representative has resigned, so I don't know who the new rep is. So I have no idea if they're still going to be on the board or not. So,
I hope they are, and I hope that you know, there can be continued cooperation between the two groups, because they each have a role to play, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I mean, we should have a common goal here, and it's not to fight each other. You know.
Yeah,
my point's exactly. You know, and I made it when I used to be Saskatchewan director for the CCFR, and one of my points is I reached out to the gentleman at the time when we were there, because we were kind of sitting across the table from each other and kind of both giving us a you know, like, oh, he's hero, okay, good. And then I went up to him and I say, hey, man, how's it going? You're from Southwest Saskatchewan, awesome. Well, hey, nice to meet you. I go hunting down there all the time, and you know, we have more in common than people think. And it's not, you don't have to choose one camp or the other. I'm a member of both. So, you know, and not just both, but we've had Tony Bernardo from the CSSA on as well on our previous show, Gunning Around. And when the May 1st OIC dropped, and, you know, you need to support all these organizations, including the Saskatchewan recreational firearms community as well. This is huge. But anyway, so you brought them all together to work, and what sort of steps have you made in this instead of just a billboard? What else have you done?
Well, the other thing, we sort of talked about how we could change the perception, because I mean, this is what the anti-gunners have. It's all about feelings. None of it is about fact. Okay, as soon as you start talking facts to them, they're lost. I mean, they don't have an argument. So one of the things we talked about was each group going back and within their own respectful organizations to spend some time on education. Try and get into some of the schools and the universities and talk about, you know, the firearms and stuff. And when I was a kid, we used to have shooting clubs in school. You know, you'd go to school with your rifle. Wasn't a problem. You know, and we had bullies then too, believe me. And we had fist fights then too, but nobody ever went and got a gun and shot anybody.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that about education. I was following a thread just on Facebook today. Somebody was in the Yukon was talking about how they were corresponding with the premier of the Yukon, and they were talking about the Order in Council, and the premier was trying to tell this person that the ban is only on military designed firearms. And so then this guy basically comes to Facebook trying to ask like, how do I argue this here? Like he's telling me that it's okay because it's all military designed firearms. And, you know, that's not true, but I know it's not true, but how do I start arguing that sort of thing? And I think even amongst our community, we could do a lot better with our own education, let alone the education of people outside of the gun owning community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, I mean, I looked at some of the firearms on the firearm list actually, and you know, we kind of picked one. I know there's lots of them, but we kind of picked one, and that was the Mini 14 ranch rifle. I mean, that one is on the list. It's you know, it's banned, and that firearm was never designed for military use. It was designed for the farmer to shoot the gopher out the back door of his house. You know,
excellent
and
point.
Yet it's on the list, and it's a 223. I mean, it's not a high powered firearm. So anyway, so that was one that we kind of picked to go after, and that was included in a letter I'd sent to Bill Blair, just asking him to actually. We put a press release out actually asking him to. You know, get that one off the list. I mean, you know, I know there's many other ones, including shotguns and stuff, but we just decided let's pick one and see if we can make any headway with it. Of course, we didn't, but.
As long as there's irrational people in this country, you will never win that mini 14 debate.
Yeah, again, it's all about feelings, right? It makes them feel good, but there's no facts behind them. I mean, we had
about the guy that did it, just the rifle.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody takes a vehicle and commits murder with it, like they did in Toronto, there, I mean, they don't blame the van, do they?
Right. Yeah.
They blame the guy.
Ford's fault, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the next thing, right? I mean, now they're wanting to sue the firearm manufacturers if one of their firearms gets used in a crime.
Well, that's right. They already are in the States. Bushmaster got sued for the Sandy Hook shooting, and I think they lost, actually. So that set a precedent moving forward. But regardless, like you said, because one misogynistic dickhead used the Ruger Mini 14 ranch rifle in a crime, in a mass shooting, and we will call it a mass shooting.
Yeah.
Now, the anti-gunners, just more specifically, the group Poly-Sasuvian, hones on that and just hits it with everything. Well, this gun was used in this crime, and this gun, the VZ-58, was used in the Quebec Moss shooting, and the M14, M305 was used in Moncton. So these all happen.
Except that they don't even know that the VZ-58 wasn't used in the Quebec Mosque shooting.
Exactly, yeah.
He intended to use it, and it friggin' jammed on the first shot. It was a handgun that he actually used in the shooting.
That's right. And the last episode of CCFR's Gun Ban Exposed dives in, not into that specific circumstance, but they say they have former police, RCMP, oh God, I can't remember their names, or their titles, but they have former RCMP members, regular members on, dictating stats and stating that out of 100% of gun violence deaths or gun related deaths, 80% of them are suicides. 30% of them are violent homicides, and I think it's 90%, if not more, are used or are committed with pistols and illegally produced pistols.
Yeah.
That are smuggled from the border, that are prohibs. Like, if for those of you on Twitter, and I'm sorry to mention Twitter on this because Twitter's a fucking cesspool, but if you go on there, I actually just followed a page. It was Toronto Gun Seized today or something on there, and they dictate or they post every gun they seize, and the whole thing is pistols and prohibited pistols, short barrel pistols, snub nose revolvers, things that you and I and Gil and Chris and Brewster cannot own as law-abiding gun owning or law-abiding citizens of this country. They are seizing these off the streets of Toronto daily.
Yeah.
And we're not the problem. It's violent crime. And there needs to be, instead of this multi-billion-dollar buyback that IBM has just taken the contract on to facilitate, they need to invest those funds into low-income centers, youth recreational programs, education programs to get
maybe instead of defunding the police to institute some of these programs that they're proposing, maybe they could take some of that money that they're proposing to give us to buy back our firearms to stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like, why is nobody listen? Well, it's an effective campaign, really, because there's enough stupid fucking people out there that buy this shit. Yeah. And they're going to hell. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Meanwhile, in Toronto, there's still assholes getting shot up everywhere anyway.
Every day. And it's, pistols and gang, the majority of them are gang related, but regardless, where was I going to go with this now, Kurt? Sorry. Anyway, no, that's fine.
My rage had to come out there.
Well, when the National Police Chiefs Federation come out in support of what groups like Gil's recreational firearm community of Saskatchewan are preaching, and saying, hey, guns are not the problem. Law-abiding gun owners are not the problem. It's violent crime. You think that would have any sort of reverberation with the community, and it doesn't, because you get those centers like Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Surrey that are having these huge issues.
Edmonton,
yeah. Calgary every day. Anyway,
I wonder if all this COVID bullshit is contributing to that crap, because people aren't leaving their houses. They're not. They're stuck in their own little cells, and they're not seeing real world stuff. I'm
suicide rates are up. For
say
sure.
again. Sorry.
Suicide rates are up.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that necessarily. I'm talking about people's exposure to the real world, like what's actually happening out there.
That's what drives all of the ignorance, though, Kurt.
Well, sure, they feed off of what's on the goddamn television. They're watching more television than ever before, and missing out on what's really happening. Hey.
And listening to more CBC than ever before.
Oh, God forbid.
But they're not, because they have record low numbers this year.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, who the hell is everybody listening to then? Oh, that's right. Facebook fact checkers.
Anyway, let's leave it at that, Gil. We appreciate
let's get back
what you guys are doing. We're not necessarily a politically oriented podcast, so let's just let's leave it there. Thank you, sir.
Got there though, didn't we?
We did. We're all very passionate gun owners, right? And we need more of us to talk like that. But there's other shows that can do that. So,
well, let me ask Gil a question here. Gil, being plugged into the wildlife end of things, and I know that you're also plugged into the recreational shooting side, but you're a lot more plugged into the wildlife conservation end than I am. So I want to ask you, what sort of are you guys, or do you see a difference between your recreational hunter and your recreational your hunter and your recreational shooter in terms of how they're thinking about the ordering council or feeling about it or anything like that? Or is everybody kind of on the same page with this in Saskatchewan?
That's a great question, Chris.
That is a great question. I think a couple of years ago, I had said that a lot of hunters really didn't care because they weren't really after their guns, right? And that's been kind of what I've heard over the years. And I've been with the Federation for well over 20 years in various positions, both in our club and provincially. But I think that mentality is changing now. I think the hunters are starting to see that, hey, just a minute, they're not just after the guys with the handguns or, the recreational shooters. They're now coming after my 410 shotgun,
right?
My dog cage. Okay.
Yeah.
So
should have resonated with the bird hunters this year. Damn.
And I think that's why you're seeing the huge donations from a lot of the wildlife clubs, because now these clubs are saying, hey, we got to stand together here. And I've always felt like our club, we have three different gun clubs, handgun clubs within our federation, within the Regina Wildlife Federation, that shoot on our property. So to us, they're every bit as important as any other member, because they're there, they're using our property, they're paying their fees, they're generating revenue for us, they're bringing in shooters, they're bringing in members. They're a lot of them are hunters as well. You'll find that there's a lot of the recreational firearm shooters are also hunters.
Right.
So yeah, we're definitely, I think we've come a lot closer, and it's due to, I think, a lot of work like the CCFR has been doing, and the other firearm groups like the NFA and Tony Bernardo's group and stuff. So I think that they've actually brought more people together within the fire community than what there ever was, and that's why you're seeing the support there is across Canada actually for donations to this legal challenge that's being launched.
It's about time those people started moving together. Like there always has been kind of a divide there, eh? What do you need that stuff for? You only need the old 760 Remington pump action to shoot a deer or an elk with, or right?
Yeah.
And, what the hell do you need that AR for?
Why do you need a set?
Go on. Sorry, Gil.
I was just saying, why do you need a semi-automatic to go deer hunting?
Yeah.
Well, no, I have a semi-automatic. I have an SKS in my safe, and I bought it for wild boar hunting.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah,
I just told the world. Actually, I'm selling it tomorrow. So
Cat's out of the bag.
It's interesting. You guys were talking about duck hunters, and then you're talking about semi-automatics, and I wonder how much that made duck hunters take notice that not only is the OIC seem to be disproportionately centered towards semi-automatic firearms, and there was the whole 12 gauge bore diameter BS mixed into it that affected shotgun owners. But how many duck hunters are still out there with their semi-automatic shotguns?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. I think in some ways it's kind of too bad that it took it to hit that home with that close to home with a certain segment before they started to realize that, oh shit, it's all of us.
Yeah.
But
what's the meme, Chris? It's or the saying, first they came for the AR-15 and I cried, but nobody was there to back me up. And then they came for my M14 or my whatever semi-auto and nobody was there. And then they came for my pistols and nobody was there. And then they came for my bolt action rifles and nobody was left. Right.
That's right. Yeah. Or it's the same as the boat meme. You got the leak in one side of the boat, and that's your sport shooters, and they're bailing like a son of a bitch. And then you got the hunters in the other side of the boat, and they go, it's okay. The leak's on their side of the boat.
Right. Yeah.
Because in some ways, I think that I really hope that this is something that is long lasting, this cohesion and this unified front between hunters and sport shooters. And the crazy thing about that is, like, I'm both. So I've always been looking to my right and telling the sport guys to quit being tactitards, and looking to my left and telling the hunters to quit being fuds, because you guys are all gun owners, just like get together. But
it's like a dysfunctional family.
I know, right? But it's about time that we started seeing the common enemy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Do you think that's something that'll continue, Gil, or do you think that, once, regardless of how the lawsuits play out, once it's all said and done, that we'll go back to our silly ways? But
well, I tend to think not. I think it'll continue, because the relationships are being formed now, right? And the understanding between both groups are and the common ground that we share, which is firearms, no matter what type. I think that'll be long lasting. And what I'm seeing too is some hunters are now becoming sport shooters as well.
That's true.
I've been a hunter since I was 9 years old, is when I started hunting, and I didn't own a handgun until I kind of thought I wouldn't be able to buy one anymore, so I went out and got one. I got my restricted and bought one just because of that. And then I got into shooting it, and then I bought another one and another one, and so it just grows on you, right?
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah,
well,
I think people are gonna. I think people have finally realized how broad that cast was or is. And it does cover all of us.
Yeah. And you know what? If you take that one step further, it covers more than all of us. This order in council and the way it was done, this could be done for anything that the private individual owns. Anything that you own. Your golf clubs. All of a sudden, just like to restrict golf clubs,
Yeah.
And they do it through an order in council. That's just totally the wrong way of doing it.
Well, how much of a leap is it to go to? You can't have they already have it. You can't have a truck higher than X.
Yeah.
But how much of a leap is it to say that you cannot own it in Canada? You cannot own a car with greater than 230 horsepower.
It's coming. In 2050? They've already said they want to ban all gasoline-powered vehicles in Canada.
That's moving up to 2030. You had a
2030. Oh, okay.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. Well, they've already started down the route with carbon tax and et cetera. But again, we're not going to get into that. But
come on.
Yeah, I know, right? Sorry, guys. I got to be the bad dad here and
my head's going to explode.
Get us back on track. Anyway, so well, Gil, where can everybody find like you said, the recreational firearms community? Where can you find that?
Well, we can be contacted through the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation or our Facebook page. We had a website, but it's I've only been at this for a year and a half. Like I said, first probably 6 to 8 months was just trying to work my way through the government red tape of finding out who's who in the zoo down there, and meeting with different senators and different politicians and stuff. So that took up a good chunk of my time. But I think I lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys.
Where can we find you? Where can we find the group?
Oh yeah, so the Facebook page is the Regina Recreational Community, Recreational Firearm Community. Just type in recreational firearm community, and
I did link it in the comments here, guys. So if you want to find it, check them out on there. And if you want to donate, get in touch with the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation, and they will administer that. So
now,
Just
if you are donating, though, make sure in your comments or someplace that you indicate that the donation is for the recreational firearm community. We just don't want a donation going into the general coffers for Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. They're administering it, but if it comes in tagged for recreational firearm community, then we will get those funds.
Fantastic. You just mentioned something really interesting. You said a lot of your time was spent, kind of trying to get in with, senators and everything and all of that sort of thing. What sort of play is Saskatchewan getting on the national stage in terms of firearms? Are we being taken seriously on the national stage, or are people just kind of dismissing us as the banjo picking hillbillies in the prairies? Or
no, I think
Sean had to disappear.
Guilty.
It depends. Like in Saskatchewan, I mean, we've got good, strong, like-minded, I think, politicians. For instance, I've had Warren Steinley, Andrew Scheer, and what's the other guy's name? Michael Cram, who won from Ralph Goodale's riding. I've had all three of those guys out to our range shooting all kinds of different firearms. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, you name it. They were shooting it on our range. And like I said earlier, I actually had Andrew Scheer out hunting this fall, and he got a deer and was happier than hell. So, I don't want to wish that we had liberal politicians here, but I wish I could bring out some anti-gun people and get them involved in shooting. Okay, and I think one of the
how do you think you do that? Well, I mean, obviously, a liberal has to ever get elected in Saskatchewan again. But I mean, other than that, how do you think that you get that crowd and get them out shooting? I mean, obviously, you can lead a horse to water. You can't force it to drink. How do you get liberals to want to drink the water?
Come out to the range with me, and I'll attend one of your bullshit sessions too.
I'm sure that'll work.
Well, I've never been a PR guy. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Kurt Rouse.
But do you think that's like it seems like that's the hardest thing to do, is just to get them to listen and give it a chance,
But even our MLAs, I mean, we'd like to invite some of our MLAs out and just get people shooting and get them talking about it within their circles, right? So word gets around that way as well. And the other thing I've been trying to encourage our handgun clubs to do is to invite, have a ladies' night or something. Get more women involved in the shooting sports.
That is big. Yeah. That is big. And they network like crazy. Women do.
Way better.
They say we do too. So.
Well.
So I have reached out to my MLA multiple times, and when C71 was happening, when the OIC happened, I happened to be living in an urban riding where an NDP candidate can actually get elected these days, and my current MLA is an NDP candidate, and throughout a few times in our conversations, I've invited that MLA to come to the range so that I can essentially. Let me show you what it actually is, because you clearly have a misunderstanding of what guns are and what legal firearm owners do. And I've been declined every single time. Have you guys ever had any play with, provincially, you could almost call the NDP the historical natural ruling party of Saskatchewan? The last 15 plus or so years, they've been the official opposition, but they still get a lot of play in this province, and you can't rule out that one day they would form government again. Have you guys had any interest or play or acceptance or anything from any provincial NDP?
I can't say that I have. Mind you, I haven't actually approached them yet. I've been focusing more on the federal politicians as opposed to the provincial. But we do have a good relationship, like with Sask Environment, because of the Wildlife Federation. So they attend all our conventions and stuff, and we have regional meetings as well, in which they have representatives there as well. So we do get a lot of the MLAs out to those functions, and there's lots of firearm owners and firearms in the room, because we typically auction off a bunch of them.
Right.
I can say that Regina Rosemont MLA Trent Wotherspoon is an avid hunter, and
He is.
Yes, and he does support firearm ownership to an extent, but not to the extent that we do and what we're advocating for, right? So. Yeah, and in fact, I've invited him on this podcast multiple times to debate, and he has turned me down every time. So, but when we were involved with the Regina Wildlife Federation, Gil, I don't know if we can say that, but we had a number of MLAs come out and shoot clays out there, right?
Yeah. We've had several MLAs and MPs that come out, and they actually do a fundraiser out there, because we have a clubhouse as well. They do a catered meal supper. Basically, they do a trap shoot first. Go shoot some trap in the afternoon, a few rounds. Come in, have a supper, and then they have a cigar and scotch tasting event after supper, and they use that for a fundraiser, and they've really been quite successful at it, and they make quite a bit of money to support their re-election or whatever. So,
I think that's something we're going to have to attend this coming year if COVID subsides.
Yeah. Well, I know that's how actually I met Andrew Shear was that because he actually started that process, and he had several years in a row where he'd come out and do the fundraiser and do a shoot and stuff, and that's where I actually got to meet the guy. And he's a strong supporter and has been a member of our club as well. So now, when he became leader of the opposition, of course, that all changed, because they have to live under different rules. So they don't
absolutely
have the freedom. Yeah.
He isn't the leader of the opposition anymore, so we could probably have him out again.
Well, he's been out. He's been out twice already this year. So
nice. Well, why don't we go on, Kurt. Sorry, or Gil. Sorry.
There was, if I have a few more minutes, there was 13 issues that the recreational firearm community came up with that we have presented to all our MPs in the Regina area here now. So they've all, we've sat down, we've gone over them, explained what we meant by these points, and asked that these are the things that as firearms owners in Saskatchewan we're looking for. So I wouldn't mind running through those just so your audience can kind of know
by all means
what we're focusing on. Okay. Number one.
Alone.
Okay, the first one was the firearm licensing should not be under the criminal code. We think that is a must. That's the first and foremost. Get it out of criminal code. We don't want to have any criminal records for paper offenses, I guess you want to call them.
Administrative offenses, yes.
Yeah, forgetting to renew your PIL. Repeal, of course, E71. That's a no-brainer. And the Conservatives said they would do that. Of course, the other parties have not. Firearm licenses should be for life. not to renew it after all, we're vetted every day in CPIC as firearms owner. You're run through every day. So if you've done something wrong, they're going to know about it right away.
Continuous
Yeah.
eligibility screening every 24
Yeah.
hours.
That's right. So why do we have to get a license, every 4 or 5 years? I mean, why do we have to renew if we haven't done
Oh,
anything
it
wrong?
does
Let's
create
just
more
keep our license.
administrative red tape.
Absolutely. Well, we'd also like to take the destruction of firearm clause out of the act. Because right now, if they seize a firearm, they have to be destroyed. In the past, we were allowed to, we were given actually firearms that were seized in, let's say, an offense, a wildlife offense by Sask Environment. Those firearms were donated to Sask Wildlife, and we put them up for auction and turned that money over to habitat lands to purchase habitat lands within the province.
Right.
When was the last time that happened, Gil?
Well, we still do it for the non-restricted ones, but they're not coming from CERM anymore or the RCMP. They're coming from individuals that are donating them to us. Okay, so we get calls that, I don't want my guns anymore. Can you guys use them? Yeah, we go, we pick them up, we put them up for auction if they're decent, and we'll give them a tax receipt actually. If for whatever that firearm sells for, because
that's a far better option than handing them in for destruction.
Absolutely. An ATT, your authorization to transport, should come automatically with your PAL. Shouldn't be anything else attached to it. If you have a restricted license, you should be allowed to take your firearms to the range and to the gun shop without having to get another one. Drop the UN markings, remove the prohibited status from some firearms. Okay, so we think there's a lot. Of course, now there's even more since this list came out.
Extend your list a little.
Restrict and remove the RCMP from classification process. We feel strongly that the law enforcers should not be the lawmakers, and that's what's happening in Canada.
Goddamn right. Yeah.
Wow.
So
how dare you ask for the way things were designed?
Kidding me. Enforce the maximum minimum sentences for firearm offenses. Enforce those things.
Absolutely.
We've got them. Let's use them. Here's another one. Law enforcement officers should be required to take the RPAL. I get a lot of calls where people have been stopped by the RCMP. They're out hunting. They have their firearms sitting beside them, and they're threatened to take those firearms away. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can go out hunt and have your firearm right beside your leg in your vehicle as long as it's not loaded, and it doesn't have to be encased. It doesn't have to have a trigger lock on. But a lot of police don't seem to understand that, and we feel it's because their law enforcement is not mandatory for them to take the RPAL course. If they took it, they would know the laws just like we do, and it would save a lot of confusion, right? Maintain this. Canadian Firearm Advisory Committee with members who are firearms knowledgeable. Like they have a committee, right? But half of them don't even know the sniff and first thing about a firearm.
Or if they have it, well, there's that, and then there's victims of gun crime that are sitting on that council right now. That I'm not going to name names, but they should not be there.
Yeah, I think you need a cross section of people, but definitely you need some people that know and understand firearms so they could educate these people that don't. And that's what's not there right now. Okay. Implement the simplified classification system that was adopted by the Conservative Party of Canada at their convention. And the last one is change the firearm regulations and confiscation or... Am I breaking up again?
No, sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Change the firearm regulations and confiscation or buyback program that needs to follow parliamentary procedure. So if they're going to implement something like C-71, it can't be done with an order in council. It has to go through the parliamentary process. So that's the last point. And there was another item that came up. When I was talking to Senator Batters, we were talking about the having to verify with Miramichi if you sold a firearm to somebody. So I would have to see your PAL. Then I would have to phone Miramichi to verify that the PAL was active. Because I don't know, you might have got a criminal record yesterday, as far as I know, but you still have the card, right? And then basically, if it's the weekend or if it's at night, nobody answers the phone, or you're on hold forever. Or if there's a gun show, there's a hard time getting through to them to do transfers. So one of our suggestions was that why don't you just create an app for that? And all I have to do as a seller is go, open that app, enter the number of the PAL of who I'm selling it to, and it comes back yes or no. That's simple as that. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
And you don't have to phone anybody. I mean, the computer answers.
If we've got an app to swipe right, why the hell can't we create an app for that?
Or an app that tracks our contacts with COVID.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So those are kind of the 13 points that we've been focusing on, and made some headway on some of them, but there's still a long ways to go. And every step forward is 2 steps back, basically. So.
Well, great work, Gil. All 13 points are very valid points and should be taken seriously by all levels of government, in my opinion. So, anyway.
Well, I think it's going to fall into that category of is it going to get us votes? That seems to be the rule today. It just doesn't matter.
But what people are missing in the term democracy is they represent people, and all the people, not just the people who voted for them. Right?
Well,
so
theory and practice, right?
Exactly. All right, let's.
We're trying so hard not to be political on this episode.
I know. I
we also really suck at it tonight.
Yeah, we've been going for an hour. Hey, let's talk about something a little more positive. Gil, you're an avid trapper.
Well, I know if I'm avid or not. I started trapping just last year. Actually, I decided to. A friend of mine from Strasbourg was a trapper, and he kind of got me interested in it. And so I went and I took the course and decided, I want to try this now. It's another stage in my life. I turned 65, so I may as well try something new. So I started trapping last year. Had a fairly successful year. Caught a bunch of coyotes, and then I moved on to raccoons, beavers, and skunks. So
nice.
I've met quite a few trappers. I've been to the convention, and one of the skills that a lot of trappers don't try is skinning a skunk. So you have to be very careful when you do that.
I tried clubbing skunks one time. That didn't go as well as I thought it would.
So what made you want to get into trapping, Gil?
Well, like I said, I've always been a hunter, and I enjoy the outdoors. I like being out there, and basically my friend sort of got me interested in it, and finally had the time to do it. So it's a little hard to tell right now, but when I turned 50, I became an Elvis impersonator. So I have a bunch of YouTube videos on YouTube under the name of Gilvis.
Yeah, if you Google Gilvis, you'll find videos that are epic on Gil.
So, I actually did last big show I did was Tell a Miracle 40 here a couple of years back with a band that I had at the time. So I went back through that from 50 to 65, and I thought, it's time for something else. I hung up the blue suede shoes and took out the hiking boots.
And instead of shaving and leaving the chops, you decided to leave the whole thing. There you go.
How long has it been since you've done an Elvis impersonation? About this long.
So, for the uneducated that are listening, in terms of trapping, how does one get into trapping? You said you had a friend that did it, but what does it entail in the province of Saskatchewan to actually run a trap line?
Okay, first of all, it depends if you're in the north and south. In the north, there's trapping blocks, and you have to own one of those blocks, which means you have a certain amount of area that nobody else can trap in, and those are leased. There's none available right now. You basically have to buy an existing trapping block out if you're in the north. In the south, it's different. You can trap on private land anywhere as long as you have the permission of the landowner. You do have to take a trapper's course. Okay, it's a one-day course. So you have to take that before the government will grant you a trapper's license. Okay, so you have to take the course, and then you spend a whole pile of money buying traps. Of course, in the course they teach you how to set them and everything, and YouTube is a great resource. There's just a ton of trapping videos, how to do things, on YouTube. So it's a great resource to learn from. So right now we not only trap, like I do the trapping. I bring them home and I skin them, flesh them, dry them or freeze them. And then my wife and I also got into tanning some of them. So we actually tan our own hides. And then from the tan hides, we make different products like mitts or whatever. So yeah, so it definitely keeps both of us busy now. So.
I don't want to go back on the conversation, but you know what else is on YouTube? Gilvis singing Fever on Telemiracle. I'm watching it right now. It is amazing.
How are those hips, Gil?
Oh, I love the chops, man. You know how to grow some sideburns. Those real?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're real. Yeah. And it's a natural color hair too.
Everybody needs to YouTube search Gilvis and Fever Telemiracle. That's what, just look it up.
It may actually be on a Brill Cream commercial as well.
All right, back to
trapping. So
Back to trapping.
what does it entail to set up a line and check it regularly?
Well, I mean, I don't use foothold traps because I feel foothold traps you have to be out there and you have to check them every day. I've got an hour drive to buy a trap line. I have some friends out there and they let me stay in the cabin right up in the hills. So when I go up, I usually go up for 3 or 4 nights and check the line every day, bring in bait. So you have to find a source for bait. One of the things you can do is you can pick up roadkill, but again, you have to get a special permit for that. And then when you pick up a deer or moose or whatever on the side of the road, you basically have to phone the Sask environment and let them know you've picked it up. So, and then you go put it on your bait pile. The coyotes just love that stuff. Come in, and I use a power ram snare for the coyotes, and I use conibear traps for the beavers and the skunks and the raccoons. Now, if there's animals around, like a dog, farms, you have to be cautious of that because some farmers have dogs and they do wander quite a ways sometimes. So it's best to touch base with the local landowners, let them know what you're doing, so that if they have concerns, you don't set your traps if they've got dogs that wander. And if you do have to set for coon or something, you can set live traps, and I've done that as well. The only thing I don't like catching in live traps is the skunks because I haven't figured how to dispatch them yet without them spraying.
Oh, jeez.
You go and visit them next week.
You send Kurt.
Well, one thing I heard, and you use a 22 round that's 700 feet per second, so very low velocity, and you body shoot them and then just walk away, and they kind of feel a tickle and don't know really what hit them. They don't think there's anything wrong. They don't spray. Now, I haven't tested that theory yet, but I will this year.
I don't know. I'd say that's a fairly substantial impact anyway.
Yeah.
So make sure you wear a mask. It protects us from lots of things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
what's
that's what I use for my
spray? About 10 microns.
Yeah, I don't know, but I collect that stuff too. So I use a syringe and I collect the skunk essence and put it in a glass bottle, cover it up with scented kitty litter, and then that sells for about $20 an ounce. So.
And then you reunite with your wife after about 10 to 14 days, right?
When I come into the house, my wife says, "Hit the shower." So.
Here's some tomato juice.
Yeah. Luckily, I've got really understanding neighbors. I've got 15 skunks hanging over my fence.
Good Lord, you're hardcore.
Well, if you're gonna do it, you may as well go at it, right?
Doug
it's fine. It definitely keeps the guy busy.
Yeah.
You guys move houses or what? You just switched on
No,
the
I lost the internet for a second there, so sorry about that. But Gil, what I was going to ask you is, when you are out trapping or checking your trap line, what do you carry a firearm with you, and if so, what do you carry?
I just carry 22 with me. If it depends. Sometimes I'll bring 2 with me. If I'm like right now with the snow, I can't get into the cabin with the truck anymore, so I have to use a sled to get to where I'm staying. So I just bring 22 with me. Before, when I was driving with the truck, because there's other animals in the area, like badgers and stuff, I also carry 17 HMR with me. So,
Just
So you're carrying more than one.
well, usually, yeah, at least 2.
Hey, with your power snares, are they? Do you have to have a permit for them now? Still?
No,
Or
you,
how
you
does
have to
that
have a
go?
you have to have a permit for free hangers. You can't use a free hanger snare unless you've been grandfathered.
Okay.
The only thing I'm allowed to use as a new trapper is power rams, and they're quite deadly. I mean, once they go
They
off,
are. Yeah.
and you have to be
I
quite
know.
careful with them.
Yeah, for sure. I've never used a power snare, but back when I was a kid on the farm, we used to use snares every once in a while. We weren't supposed to,
Yeah.
but
Statute of limitations is up.
well, that's right. That was years ago. And back then, I don't think power snares were a thing, or they were just coming in. But you could use snares with a permit under certain conditions, I believe. I just wondered
Yeah.
if that was the same kind of thing now.
Yeah, I think it is. Like if you're a cattle rancher or something, you have problems, with coyotes and your cattle. You get a special permit to
Right.
use free hangers. But as a new trapper, you can't. You have to use power rams, and that's
Right.
why I like using them as well, because sometimes I'll be home for maybe three days, right, before I get back out to the trap line.
Okay,
So if I do
sorry,
catch something,
I need to chime in here, Gil. Sorry to cut you off. Wrangler Ham, president of the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation, came on. He just texted me on the phone here. He says, side note, you do need a power snare permit. It is required. All Sask residents need it to run the ram snares. So there you go.
yes, it comes on your permit. When you get the permit to pick up the roadkill, that's when you that's on that permit for power rams. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He does say it's free and it's issued from your local field office. So shout out to Wrangler. He's a good dude. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. The only thing you have to pay for is your trapper's license. I think that's $40 or something like that. But the power ram snare and the permit to pick up the roadkill is free.
Do you think the power ram makes that much that big a difference over the regular hanging snare, especially with a locking mechanism on those free hangers?
Well,
I remember back when I was a kid that if you had those lockers on there, it was good as gold as far as I was concerned. The power snares probably made a quicker kill. But not by a whole lot, I don't think, because you get a struggling animal pulling against that cable. He's going to die pretty damn quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If he pulls, that's right. Once that lock engages and it doesn't loosen after that, it's going to get him pretty quick. But the power rams are very fast as well, I believe. Like when they go off, I know my snare. When the spring is spread wide open, basically, and I've got the snare down around my finger, let's say, from where the snare hooks up on the far end of that spring, there's still this much space. Okay, so it's tight, like fast, like now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're a wicked thing, those things, man.
So I actually like them. I mean, that's the only thing I use. So I that's what I got used to, and I do like them.
So tell me, the skunk scent that you use, is that what you use it for? Is on your snares and traps and that?
Actually, there's some. Yeah, you use it for foothold traps mostly.
Okay.
I know there's people within the province here that make a lure out of it. It's a scent basically that they use to put by the foothold traps, and they use the skunk essence to do that. That's not a job I want to do, but
nope.
I don't mind. I don't mind collecting it, but I'm not going to make anything with it. So.
Hey, backing up a bit, I had a question come through on the trusty mobile tracking device here from an anonymous texter who wants to remain unnamed, but he says something to ask Gil. Ask him where he stands on the tabled Sask trespass law. Then ask the Sask Wildlife why the Sask Wildlife Federation voted in favor of it. Can you elaborate on that?
I don't know that the Sask Wildlife Federation had a vote in it. To be honest with you, I don't know why they would. Sask Wildlife isn't. Sask Wildlife can advise the government on certain things, and by far, Sask Wildlife is very concerned on the new trespass laws and how it's going to affect hunting, and not only hunters, but how it's going to affect landowners as well.
Exactly.
So from from people, a steady flow of traffic knocking at your door to get permission, as opposed to before, if your land wasn't posted, still would be nice to get permission, and you should.
Right.
But a lot of hunters wouldn't, and they'd go on that land as long as it wasn't posted. Now, with the new laws, they're going to have to get permission. And Sask Wildlife is not in favor of that. I don't know where that and then how they would vote. How would Sask Wildlife get a vote on a government policy?
Exactly.
They're not a government organization, so I don't know where that came from.
I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to understand like where that came from. To my knowledge, Sask Wildlife doesn't have a vote to start with. They have an opinion. We do pass resolutions at our convention that we forward on to the government, suggesting that these are the changes they should make. 9 times out of 10, they don't. For instance, one of the changes that was implemented not too long ago, and it started in 1954, the year I was born in Saskatchewan. The Wildlife Federation tabled a motion to allow some Sunday hunting. That started in 1954.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, year after year after year it would come up, it would pass, it would come up, it would go to government, they'd say no, and it went back and forth for years until finally the government said, okay, there is value in doing this now, and they did it. So really, it's a government decision, what they do with trespass laws.
I would assume, and I hate to say that term because when you assume you make an ass out of you and me, but I venture to say that's what he's talking about is the resolution or the poll of the membership or whatever, if you will, at convention that he's talking about. But regardless, we can talk off air about that. But thanks for elaborating on that. Can you specify what that tabled law is, or what's coming with that, just for people who don't know?
The only thing I know about that law, I'm not really current on it as much as a lot of the guys at the Federation is. But as far as I know, it's law. It's becoming law, but it's not being enforced at this time for some reason that either needs another step done or whatever. So,
okay,
that's as much as I know about it.
There you go. Cool. Well, I'm out of questions, guys. The bag full of hot air. That's right. That's right. Anyway, well, big shout out to Gil for coming on the show here. Thank you, sir. We sincerely appreciate it. You've given us a lot of insight into what's going on in the province of Saskatchewan. And do you think that this could be used as a template for other provinces to move forward?
Oh, I think so. And I've been looking at Alberta, and I was hoping to get the answer from the provincial government by the time the show went on today, but it hasn't come yet. I wrote the government before Christmas, asking them, we know they've appointed a CFO, provincial CFO, but back before the election, Minister of Justice, Harrison, I think it was at the time.
Jeremy, yeah.
Jeremy. Yeah, Jeremy. It said they had our backs as firearms owners. The government had our backs. So the question to the government was, well, okay, you've done the CFO thing, but what else are you doing? Like, how are you having our backs? What's the next steps? So I was hoping to get an answer for that before the show, but I didn't get one yet. So
no, well, and besides Scott Moe coming out saying he's not going to allow municipalities to have regulations on banning handguns,
right.
But that announcement was made before the CFO announcement was made.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can try and get Minister Jeremy Harrison or I think it's Minister Christine Tell, who's the Justice Minister now. Maybe we can try and get her on, because we have had Alberta MLA Shane Getson on the show to discuss similar issues. So anyway, regardless.
Where is that with us? Sorry to kind of derail a little bit, but the provincial CFO for Saskatchewan. I know Alberta's moved to their Firearms Advisory Committee and all that kind of stuff, and working on their provincial CFO. What status do we have for our motion that way? Does anyone know?
He's been hired, as far as I understand, and I'm not connected to it at all, but as far as I understand, he's been trying to transition into the office, but the outgoing CFO has been dragging feet.
Okay.
Well, federal government
isn't that progressive?
It doesn't move quickly, and I know both candidates, or the former CFO and the new CFO, and his name is Bob Freeberg, or Robert Freeberg, who used to be president at the former branch office, Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. Gil, he is now the new CFO. So I don't know. We're gonna have to follow up with Bob and see where we're at and kind of go from there. But again, all he has to do is mandate what the federal government puts forward in a common sense application,
Right.
and we'll see where that comes. Everyone assumes, he's going to give out carry permits. No,
baby
not
stuff.
much is going to change. It's going to be range certifications. Gil, you and I know very well about range certifications and that sort of thing. He's just going to take a more common sense approach to that, and transfers, and try and streamline the process a little bit in the province of Saskatchewan, from what I've been told. So, there we go.
As long as we don't regress.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go from there. Anyway, thank you, Gil. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Again, check them out, Recreational Firearm Community Saskatchewan. I've linked it in the comments. Take a look, and I'm for those of you audio listeners, I'm going to put it in the description or the show notes. You can also visit us at facebook.com/FFP podcast. Leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. Also, if you like the content, please leave a like on the page and share it so we can spread the wealth, whatever that means. Also, we don't have an email, but we're working on that, because we have the new website, ffpp.ca. Kurt just and friend of the show, John, they just pounded out a ton of reviews. And also, I put out the MRA Renegade build video that's an hour and a bit long. Check those out. You'll be helping the show out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a few more to come too.
That's right. We got lots in the works, guys. So keep an eye on that, ffpp.ca.
If anybody has, we got a few questions tonight from some listeners. If anybody else has questions they have me, by all means, contact me through the Facebook page, and I'd be happy to. If I don't know the answer, try and find it out for you.
That's awesome, Gil. Thanks.
I'm just typing that out in the comments here. Questions can be answered through the Facebook page. I know this is great audio for the listeners that are listening. Also, check us out on the website. Hey, we didn't get into what are we drinking tonight. I've been pounding the Crown Royal Apple. I am now out.
We can tell.
Can I just say that pounding the Crown Royal Apple doesn't sound at all like you're talking about liquor?
I am totally talking about liquor. Get your mind out of the gutter, Chris.
Sounds like a metaphorical.
It sounds like a hell of a weekend, is what it sounds like.
Apple. It's only Tuesday. I don't know what you're talking about. What else are we drinking? I see Chris has been staying on the Alexander Keith's again.
I got a whole bunch of flats of it, and that I have for events in my gym, but I'm not allowed to run events in my gym, so I got to friggin' drink it all before it all goes.
That sounds like a good enough excuse of you to drink. Kurt, what have you been drinking?
I had a little bit of Doc 57 there. Just a bit of a different taste. And Michelob Ultra. New Year's, not really a New Year's resolution. I've always hated that shit, but I'm too goddamn fat. I just got to cut down on the carbs. And
That sounds like a New Year's resolution to me. And Sean,
it kind of does, but I'm not labeling it that. So stop.
Gil, I haven't seen you sipping on anything. Have you been drinking?
Oh yeah,
Beaver
yeah.
Counter.
There's a, you know, I was told it was going to be a long night, so I brought that big bottle.
Good
Saskatchewan
job.
Wiser Special Blend. That's awesome. There you go.
Shit.
Cool. All right, on. Do you guys have any shout outs this week? Let's start with Kurt.
Oh God, put me on the spot. You know what? Really nothing except my buddy Yen's taking care of me again. Our King of 2 Mile build is coming together slowly. He picked up some 300 grain burgers for that. Curtis Custom Actions. I'm getting a Curtis action for the build. It's supposed to be arriving sometime mid January. I guess I'm gonna have to move on the rest of it, like a barrel and a chassis and all that kind of sort of stuff. So yeah, those guys.
Cool. Chris?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to shout out Gray Birch again because my bolt finally arrived over the holidays.
Nice.
And tell you what, my holidays were so busy, I only got out once to test it. And my first magazine, 10 rounds, 3 failures.
Oh no.
30% failure. I had 2 failures to feed and one stovepipe on ejection.
Now, would that be the bolt or would that be the magazine?
Well, anything's possible, but I've never had any problems with any of those magazines before.
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you this. That was the first mag, okay? So that's 10 rounds. I then went through another 240 rounds without a single failure.
Oh,
It was just the first magazine.
just needed to be broken in.
It had a little bit of stage fright. I had to pour a little bit of whiskey down its throat.
Did you have to talk to it a little bit?
I had to caress it and talk to it a little bit. Yeah.
Come on, little fella. You know you can do this.
I had a little bit of barrel droop at the beginning there. We fixed that.
Oh.
And nobody could be watching.
It's on camera, unfortunately, because it was at the indoor range at the Saskatchewan Federation. So somebody's in
that video so we can put it on the website.
Someone's in for a surprise. But yeah, so it's only 240 rounds. You can't say too much, but I mean, it was flawless after the first magazine. So, and that was with Blazer ammo and Aguila ammo. So,
Nice.
I'm hopeful. It's still a friggin' tack driver, so the only problem with it ever was that I was getting failures with that old bolt. I mean, the barrel since I got it has been a friggin' dream. So.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for the foundation chassis of theirs. Hopefully at the end of this month, because that will complete the build.
Thing, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some of Rick Kadigbak's CRPS X22 matches in this year.
You got to check out the sniper series at Kurt's range.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I don't know if a 1022 is going to be great for the sniper series, though.
You know what? I wouldn't discount it.
Well, I won't discount it then.
Don't.
Yeah, don't.
You know what? We're probably going to run some pre-match shoots out there just to test
shenanigans.
That's right. So you might as well come out with that.
Invite me. Yeah,
done. Like I'm surprised you didn't know that already. Anyway,
I think Gil and his beard are going to have to come out and do us a little ditty on.
That's right.
Some Elvis songs out there.
Yeah,
we could put them on the platform and have them use that.
That's right. That'll be Saturday night's entertainment, and he's going to show us how to skin a magpie and a ground squirrel.
You're going to need another bottle of that Wiser's there, Gil.
Yeah, I'll need more.
Yeah.
Gil, who do you got to shout out this week?
I think I'd like to give a shout out to all the landowners out in the Strasbourg area that allow me on their land to hunt and to trap, and they're just fantastic people out there, and I've become good friends, I think, with a lot of them, and if not face-to-face friends, we're definitely friends on Facebook, and those those people are just great once you get to know them.
Yeah.
And very friendly, and respect their property when you're on it, and
Right.
you'll have a long time to enjoy it. So
That's
right.
all, right? That's
I,
all it
I
takes.
must say that whole Strasbourg, Southie, Raymore area is key in my professional career with my ag equipment. There's a lot of my equipment out there that that have some very loyal customers. So shout out to those guys for sure. Cool. Well, I'm going to give a couple shout outs here. One, I've got some news, guys. I have been sponsored by Athlon Optics for the upcoming Rimfire and Sniper series coming up.
Well, I guess fuck me, right?
That's right. That's right. So they're sending me through Wolverine Supply. Shout out to Matt Hipwell and the guys out there. They're sending me a Athlon Midas TAC 5-25 by 56 first focal plane mil APRS3 reticle.
Can I borrow that? Definitely.
Sure. So shout out to those guys and shout out to Wolverine Supplies. If you got to check them out, or if you need anything, check them out. They're one of the biggest distributors in Canada. They're in Verdun, Manitoba, so right in central Canada. Check them out, wolverinesupplies.com. Also, we have a new editing app, and I wanted to give a shout out to Adobe Premiere Rush for editing, for the ease of editing videos, because I was using free software before that, and it was absolute dog shit. And and it just made my life so easy. I edited that hour and 5-minute video in half an hour, Kurt, on Saturdays.
Yeah, it was awfully quick.
Yeah,
I was really
so
surprised. So I expect to hear less whining.
No, there would be minimal whining moving forward. So shout out to those guys. Doug Roddenbush, Strasbourg is one of my hereditary stomping grounds. I'm sorry to hear that, Doug. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't you judge, you son of a bitch.
That's right. Hey, I bumped Wes Stevens again this week. Apologies to him. I cannot. We just can't make time for you, buddy. Also, big shout out to John Johnston and his band, the Dirt Road Scholars, for the kick-ass music. We're still working on an intro for the live stream, so keep that in mind, and hopefully we'll have it for you next week. I'm going to try and get on that this week. So, yeah. Good show, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, Gil.
see you later.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, amigo.